Hello guys, so today, also you can probably tell by the video title, I am doing an advanced tutorial on redstone bud switches and what exactly bud powering is. Because most people know how to build a bud switch and what it does, but don't know how it works. So to start it off, basically what bud powering is it's powering a piston from one block away. So here I have a little setup. This redstone dust, when it's on, is powering these green blocks. These green blocks are directly powered by the redstone dust. So if I put the green block here, that's also being directly powered because it's going into it, that sort of thing. Now, there are other things in this. As you can see, there are the red, and the red are being indirectly powered by the redstone dust. Basically, what's happening is this redstone dust is indirectly powering, well, it's directly powering this block, which is indirectly and this red block. Now, when a block is being indirectly powered, it cannot power another block further. So basically, instead of going one block as this normally would in the full power, it's going sort of like an indirect power, one block adjacent to the powered block. But the red blocks, which are being indirectly powered, cannot power these black blocks because a red block cannot power a black block. But the thing about bud switches are that these are piston bud switches that I'm covering, by the way. That you can replace these black blocks with pistons, and it will power it. Oops. So you can replace those black blocks with pistons and power it because a piston can receive power from both a directly powered block like this and an indirectly powered block. Now, there are some conditions to do with indirectly powering a block. So, basically, this will turn on because it's automatically updating when I hit it. But if I turn this off, you'll notice the piston doesn't retract. And the reason for that is that when this piston is being indirectly powered, it will only become unpowered and powered like a normal piston if it's updated. So if I place a block next to here, it will go back. Now if I turn this on, nothing happens. I have to place a block or something and update it. So that is basically what bud powering is. It's a indirect powering of a piston, and it only works if you update it. So, like that, like so. And then again, once more, just so you get the gist. And you can also see that it's different from being on a directly powered block. That comes back automatically. This one has to be updated. So, since you understand, or should do, because that's what bud powering is, it's a diagonal power of a piston, you should be able to understand some of these bud switches that you are just building. And also you can utilize bud switches in your world without it having to be a specific kind, because you would understand that if I have a row of power blocks here, then I can place pistons here, and then I can update them somehow. So if, for example, if I went like, let's just say I went like this. Now that would not normally, so redstone here. Now without that piston, let's just get rid of that piston. So redstone and nothing will happen. But as soon as I update that, I can update that using a piston or something like this. When I use it again, it updates these blocks. and because these blocks are all these pistons are all next to each other, they all update each other at once as well. So turning it off again, they will all go back in, even though they're not being directly powered, because when this block retracts, it's updating all of these pistons. So that's how you can use it in your world. You can use it for farms or something like that, and that's basically how this bud piston thing will work. Now you might also notice that there are no block right here. There's no blocks next to the green blocks. For bud powering, they can make a indirect power on an air block, which is something you can't directly power an air block. Otherwise, well, there are some conditions that you can, but for the most part, you cannot power an air block. And so, indirect power from signals can be powered by an air block. So that's kind of cool. These pistons are actually being powered by an air block, basically. So I'm gonna build one of a certain kind of really popular bud switch, and that is, as I build it here very slowly, right here, you will probably, if you look up a bud switch, this will basically be the first kind of bud switch that comes out, so it should be familiar if you're looking up an advanced tutorial as to how bud powering works. So that is my bud switch right there. Now if I place a block next to there, it powers and unpowers, and it's whenever this thing is updated. So basically why this is working is this redstone block is the equivalent of this. It's being powered by, it's just a power source. It's the equivalent of a green block. Now, since this is a green block, this will be an indirect power source right here, and this indirect power source is powering that. And you might be wondering why this redstone block right here doesn't interfere. It's because pistons can only receive power from 7 out of their 8 sides, so they can't receive power from the front. Okay, so anyway, what is basically happening here? So you notice that it's going back and stuff like that. If I remove this piston, it will only go like that and it won't come back. What this piston is doing right here is it's retracting this block so that it will come back. Now, as this block is retracting, when it's in the, you'll see that it moves basically, as you might be able to tell. But at the moment that this is moving, it's not actually powering anything because it's in, I don't remember exactly what the item ID is, but it's this basically invisible block. It's just like a placeholder. So if I slowed down the game ticks, which I'm not going to do, you would see that the entire thing just disappears. So when it's doing that, that will allow, it will basically recognize that there's no power source here. And because this power source is being, when this piston is being powered like that, it's powering right here. So as this is moving back, it's updating the piston so that it doesn't bud power anymore. So when this is moving back, it updates the piston, so it will unpower basically. And then that block will come back to where it originally was. That might have been a kind of bad explanation, but I think if you understood what I was saying about indirect power and direct power for bud switches, you should get basically how every single type of bud switch works. And you can use bud switches in your world if you want to make it look better or something like that. So instead, say you can't use these pistons or something like that, and you want to like cover it up and make it look nice, it might be better to make it like this. And another thing that it is used for is instead of having to use, it can be used for much more complex redstone, because it allows for a lot more room around the piston so that you can basically stagger different types of circuits together a little bit easier without having to worry too much about things cross-powering. So basically that is how bud powering and how bud switches work. So with that, you should be able to create bud switches in your world now without having to look at a tutorial if you understand these rules. Thanks for watching. I hope this helped. Bye.